Okay, hi. Name Morale here. This is my Zambelli Muli-Mix apple grinder. And I was asked by a new friend to tell a little bit more about it because she's in the market for a grinder herself. These are not a small investment. This one's all stainless steel. It's imported from Italy. But between shipping and the cost of the unit, there are very few domestic producers of what I'm going to call a mid-range grinder that is more than the home hobbyist little ningy, but then you immediately start jumping into commercial stuff that costs a lot of money. So I'm going to kind of go over the features of it. I want to first of all, my head's up here, you can't see it, but you get a sense of how tall it is. And you get about how high the throat of it is for putting your fruit into it. That brings up the first thing. You can easily dump, a bushel of fruit into this. And if they're small, they will all go down in here and get ground up. But with U.S. fruit and large fruit, they tend to bind up in here a little bit. So it really doesn't slow you down that much, but there's a knack to feeding the fruit in at a pace that doesn't cause them to lock up and bind up in here. I'll show you something in a few minutes. What happens is if you take like a baseball bat or something and you try and smash them down in there, you have a risk of hitting the blades, and it's like really noisy and ugly, and it's not so good. Anyway, stainless steel, 304 throughout, very nice. Comes apart very nicely for cleaning. The components are made such as you can pretty much hit anything on this thing with the hose, and you're not going to do any harm. That's really nice. There are other ones out there that the motors don't take kindly to getting wet, or some of the mechanisms. This one, not so bad. On the side is the control box for power on, power off. Pretty straightforward. You press the on button to make it go, and you hit the stop button. Now you'll notice the stop button latch down. You have to turn it and pull it back out again to turn it back on again. So it's a very nice safety feature. It's very simple inside. This is my own design. I'm going to do it over again. But what happens is it came with a very short European plug on it. And I wanted a cord I could run and just be done with it. I seem to recall, I got to check my notes, I seem to recall it draws 14 amps at 220 volts. The power cord I've got on here is really thicker than it needs to be. At least I'm pretty sure it is. It's a 10 gauge. It doesn't need to be a 10 gauge. It could certainly be a 12 gauge. It's a 3 conductor, and it really didn't need to be a 3. It could be a 2 with a ground, because you're not using a neutral. So don't overkill on the power cord like I did. Live and learn. The plug you put on the end of it, it's up to you. You need two phases and a ground. That's all you need, and it totally matters to what you're plugging into for the infrastructure in your facility. Mine has a twist lock plug on it, suitable for using on a generator, which is nice. I have a small generator that will just run this, and that gives me some portability. Well, anyway, here's the discharge chute. All your happiness comes out here. And that kind of brings up an issue. You can just slide a Tupperware, if you will, a bin, underneath here to collect your pumice as it comes out. You can just slide it under. You can't have it on a wheel dolly. Now, if you've ever done this before, you know those totes get pretty heavy. And that's a problem. Fortunately, by design, if you look at the way it is, you can put longer legs on this thing. And that is something I'm certainly going to do before fall, is I'm going to raise this up about 3 to 4 inches so I can put my totes on wheels and roll them under and roll them back again. I would say that was a shortcoming in their design. I think they thought people were just going to slip buckets underneath here. Well, a bushel will overfill a bucket. he doing, you say? Here's your sort of your standard flat bag agricultural bucket, Tractor Supply Company. Yes, that will just fit underneath there, but I'm not comfortable with that. I would rather use a tote, because with the tote, when someone's building the cheese, the racks, it takes less. You know, they can just keep kind of working, not bucket to bucket to bucket. Came out weird. So anyway, that's just a heads up on that. But if you like using buckets, get good sturdy buckets, because this stuff is dense, it's heavy. Okay, for cleaning it when you're servicing it, you take it off. Something I'm going to kind of, I can't see, so you have to trust me on this one. The bolts aren't the same. Okay, you see that one's got a little pinny thing on it. I know it's not focused, and this doesn't. Okay, this one is part of a safety interlock system. If you lose this bolt, you got to make another one. I'll show you why. This top comes off very nicely. There's a weather-resistant micro switch assembly here. That bolt isn't tight enough, or it doesn't have that pin on the end because you swapped them, the motor will not turn. So that's a very important feature that is part of the interlock. Whenever I take this thing apart to clean it or the like, I put the bolts back in the holes so I don't lose them. That could happen. Okay, I'm going to take the camera off the tripod now. I want to show you some details on the working end of the grinder. Okay, folks, this is what you get inside. Okay, this is all stainless steel. This is pretty brutal stuff. And this is a centrifugal grinder. The top blades are pitched the way they are, and their purpose is to kind of corkscrew and pull the fruit down. These blades here, which are really sharp, you know, even now they're very sharp. They are making a mess out of the apples. These impellers right here, I really do need to clean this up a little bit better. These impellers are actually throwing that pomace now against this scrap mesh. Nothing gets out alive unless it's smaller than these. Okay. Now what I wanted to show you, I talked about, you know, you're pushing stuff in here and you're trying to get it in and it doesn't always work out right. If you look at those blades, you're going to see nicks on the leading edges. That's what happens when a piece of Schedule 40 PVC comes into contact with them because you're trying to get your apples in here. I don't believe these things were ever supposed to be symmetrical. I think one was down, one was up. But you'll see that the leading edges are nicked and messed up. I have a friend with a machine shop. I'm going to take him in there on the milling machine and see if I can clean up those a little bit, just to make sure that next year they work well. This thing rocks. This is direct drive straight down into the motor. So when this is going, it's seriously going, and the fruit doesn't have much of a chance. Now, this kind of does bring up something else. This is a centrifugal grinder. It does have chopping blades, but it's not like a milling grinder where they're pushed together and there's no choices. So the texture of the fruit, the size of the fruit, and all that really makes a huge difference for how this performs. That's the Speedal, the Fruit Shark, all of those are centrifugal grinders. I think they're all facing that sort of an issue, and you should know about it. Sometimes and what I do sometimes if I'm blending fruit is I'll mix it up in the grinder a little bit because it handles it better. That's just something you want to be aware of. All right. This comes out when it's time to clean it. Yep, you can pull that out. You can get into those nooks and crannies, just like an English muffin. And there's lots of sharp edges in here, and I warn you, exercise caution. Even when cleaning it, the blades don't have to be rotating to hurt you. Replacement blades, I don't know of anybody who stocks them. That's an issue. If you think you're going to be killing blades, you might want to buy a pair up front. I don't know how much they cost. St. Patrick's of Texas carries this grinder, and Gino Pinto in New Jersey does. If you buy it from St. Patrick's, it will already come with a different power plug on it. I don't know what they put on it. That's what I'm told. If you buy it from Gino Pinto, which I'm east of the Mississippi, and that makes a difference from shipping, it was much more affordable to me, but I understand electricity, so I didn't have a problem replacing the cord. I don't think Gino Pinto stocks them, but they do place orders periodically, and they come over on the boat from Italy, and that's something you might want to look into. I think these are a really good product. I have no regrets buying what I bought because it suits my need very well. I think I will outgrow it. I hope I outgrow it. And that's a good thing, you know. But for custom pressing, I did one for a very nice grandmother and grandson last year. Perfect. This was absolutely perfect. The only thing I would change is those legs really need to be a bit longer to get underneath it. You know, that's not a big deal. But it was sort of a nuisance. I didn't like it. So I hope that answers questions. I'm going to put some, hi, I'm back. I'm going to put some links underneath this YouTube video. Click more, see more information. I'll give you the 2 sources I know of, and I will also give you a link back directly to the Zambelli website. They have an English version of their website so that you can see the 3 different sizes that are available. There's one bigger than this. There's one smaller than this. This one worked fine for me. You know, I'm generally pressing alone, so you only go so fast. Now, if there was 2 people, different story. But even then, I still think that this, with 2 people cooperating in the pressing process, there's more to do than just grind up fruit. You know, you got the washing process, then you're dumping them down the hopper, everything else. While someone else is building a cheese, I still think this one's a really nice one in the middle. Now, if you have a double bed press, then you might want a slightly bigger one. And then you might also look into a hammer mill as a more efficient grinder, something, you know. So there's a lot of choices. Anyway, this is the stainless steel Zambelli Muli-Mix, imported from Italy. I got it from Gino Pinto. I've had it for 2 years now. I really like it. It runs on North American power, 220 volts. You need 2 legs and a ground, of course, a ground. The single design flaw with it is the legs are too short to put something other than a bucket underneath it. So I'm going to raise it up a little bit so I can put a wheeled tote underneath it and move more in one fell swoop. Nice product. I hope this answers questions. If you have questions I didn't answer, would you please put them on on YouTube, and I will reply to you. I'm not saying prices right now because with the euro, with Italy, with everything, who knows? You know. And I've never seen one for sale used. And I think that's actually a testament to how good of a grinder it is. I've never seen a used one for sale. So I think that speaks volumes right there. Hey, good luck. Enjoy your cider. Take care. Bye-bye.